It was the day after Christmas, 1996. In the quiet, affluent city of Boulder, Colorado, a picture-perfect family was about to be shattered. This is the story of a murder that shocked America, and a mystery that, decades later, remains hauntingly unsolved. The murder of JonBenet Ramsey. The Ramsey home on 15th Street was a symbol of success. A sprawling Tudor mansion where John and Patsy Ramsey lived with their 2 children. They were wealthy, respected, and seemingly untouchable. But behind the facade of holiday cheer and domestic bliss, a horrifying secret lay hidden within its walls. A secret that would be uncovered in the cold light of morning. At the center of this story was a 6-year-old girl named JonBenet. Born in 1990, she was the youngest child of John, a successful businessman, and Patsy, a former Miss West Virginia. To the public, JonBenet was a star in the making, a familiar face in the world of child beauty pageants. With her blonde curls, bright blue eyes, and a smile that could light up a room, she was the embodiment of a certain kind of American dream. But that dream was about to become a nightmare. On the morning of December 26th, Patsy Ramsey made a frantic 911 call. She said she had found a ransom note on the back staircase of their home. Her daughter, JonBenet, was gone. The note was long and rambling, nearly 3 full pages. It demanded Shiwen Batsen Mayen for JonBenet's safe return. In a chilling coincidence, that figure was the exact amount of John Ramsey's recent work bonus. The note warned them not to contact the police, but they already had. When the Boulder Police Department arrived, they treated the case as a kidnapping. It was a logical assumption, but from the very beginning, something felt wrong. The sprawling house wasn't secured as a crime scene. Instead, it was filled with friends, family, and neighbors who had come to offer support. They walked through the halls, used the kitchen, and cleaned surfaces, unknowingly contaminating vital evidence. The scene was chaotic, and crucial hours were ticking by. Later that afternoon, a detective suggested John Ramsey search the house one more time. He went straight to the basement, a place that had supposedly been checked earlier. There, in a small windowless room, he made the horrific discovery. His daughter JonBenet was there. She was wrapped in her favorite white blanket. Duct tape was across her mouth, and a nylon cord was tied around her wrists and neck. She had suffered a fractured skull and had been strangled. She was not kidnapped. She had been murdered, right inside her own home. The case instantly transformed. What was once a frantic search for a missing child became a dark and complex homicide investigation. The focus shifted from an unknown kidnapper to the secrets held within the 4 walls of the Ramsey house. The media descended on Boulder like a storm. News vans lined the streets, and reporters broadcasted every detail, every rumor, to a transfixed nation. The story was irresistible. A beautiful child, a wealthy family, a brutal murder in an idyllic town. America was obsessed. People couldn't understand how something so violent could happen inside such a perfect home. The case became a national spectacle, and the Ramsey family was thrust into a relentless, unforgiving spotlight. The initial investigation was plagued with problems. The contaminated crime scene was just the beginning. There was poor coordination between different law enforcement agencies, and critical information was leaked to the press, fueling public speculation and creating a narrative that was often at odds with the facts. The mishandling of evidence in those first few hours would cast a long shadow over the case for years to come. With no signs of a forced entry, suspicion soon turned inward. Detectives began to focus on the people closest to JonBenet, her own family. The ransom note itself became a key piece of evidence. It was written on a notepad and with a pen found inside the house. Some handwriting experts suggested the script bore a striking resemblance to Patsy Ramsey's. The amount demanded, the personal details, and the location of the note all seemed to point away from a random intruder. From this suspicion, the first major theory emerged: the family cover-up. Investigators and the public alike began to wonder if JonBenet's death had been an accident. Perhaps an act of discipline had gone too far, or a late-night argument had ended in tragedy. In this scenario, the parents, panicked and desperate to protect their reputation and their remaining child, staged the kidnapping to cover up the truth. It was a theory that painted the Ramseys not as grieving parents, but as calculating and deceptive figures. But another theory pointed to an intruder. Despite the police's initial findings, some argued that someone could have entered the house undetected. A basement window had been left ajar, and an unidentified footprint was found near the body. This theory suggested that a stranger, a predator, had slipped into the home under the cover of darkness, committed the heinous act, and vanished, leaving the family to take the fall. A third theory focused on a potential sexual motive. The nature of the crime led some to believe that the killer was a predator, possibly someone known to the family or a local offender who had become obsessed with JonBenet. The beauty pageants, which had made her a public figure, could have drawn unwanted attention. This theory suggested the crime was the work of a disturbed individual who had targeted the young girl specifically. As these theories swirled, America became deeply divided. Talk shows, newspapers, and dinner table conversations were dominated by the case. Half the country seemed convinced that the parents were guilty, citing their strange behavior in interviews and the peculiarities of the evidence. The other half saw them as tragic victims, a family destroyed first by a monster, and then by a broken justice system and a merciless media. The court of public opinion was in session, and the verdict was far from unanimous. Then, years later, a stunning twist changed everything. In 2008, new advancements in DNA technology allowed for a more sophisticated analysis of evidence found on JonBenet's clothing. A small amount of male DNA was identified, and it did not match John, his son Burke, or anyone in the Ramsey family. Based on this finding, the Boulder District Attorney's Office officially cleared the family of any involvement in the crime. The intruder theory, once dismissed by many, was suddenly back in the forefront. Yet even with the DNA evidence, the case remains unsolved. Over the years, there have been false confessions, most notably from a man named John Mark Carr in 2006, whose story quickly fell apart. Leads have been followed to dead ends, and countless hours have been spent re-examining the same perplexing clues. The mystery has become a labyrinth of speculation, with each turn revealing more questions than answers. The identity of the person whose DNA was found remains unknown. In the decades since her death, JonBenet has become a tragic cultural symbol. Her image is frozen in time, the pageant smile, the perfect hair, the innocent eyes. She is a reminder of a childhood lost, a life cut short by an act of unimaginable cruelty. Her story became a cautionary tale about the dark side of fame, the pressures of perfection, and the vulnerability that can exist even in the safest of places. The central question still lingers, echoing through the years. Was the killer truly a stranger who slipped through a basement window on a cold winter-esque night? Or did the truth die inside that house, buried beneath layers of secrets and lies? Nearly 30 years later, America still can't forget the angelic smile of JonBenet Ramsey, the little beauty queen whose story became one of the darkest and most enduring mysteries in modern history.